Howdy my totally tubular gamers, and we are back again for another ranking video. And today's is going to be on the Devil May Cry series, the fan favorite hack and slash action series created by Hideki Kamiya. Developed and published by Capcom, Devil May Cry really was not only the most influential hack and slash action game in the genre, but it really kickstarted the whole genre as a whole that many other games would copy its style, its format, how its combos work, and really everything that there is to copy. Games like God of War, games like Bayonetta, Darksiders, Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, all of them have something to pay to Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry really laid down the groundwork and the foundation for how hack and slash games should be and how great they can be. It's funny though that the original Devil May Cry did not even start as what it is nowadays. It was actually supposed to be a Resident Evil title and is now considered a failed Resident Evil 4. However, I think what we got more than makes up for it. The Devil May Cry games are known for their interesting, witty characters, particularly Dante, who's a gaming icon, its excellent hack and slash gameplay, its really high skill ceiling, how good you can just get at the game, and its varied worlds. And a few of these are considered some of the, if not the, greatest action games ever created. So I'm sure in the comments everyone's going to have different opinions about the Devil May Cry series. But this is just going to be my ranking list. This is what I feel about all the games. I'm a huge Devil May Cry guy. I've been playing the games for well over a decade now. I've played through all of them. I enjoy almost all of them. I thought I would rank them all based on their quality, how much fun I had with the game, how awesome I thought the combat was, how cheesy and alright the story was, how really just everything is. And as usual, like, share, sub. Let me know your favorite Devil May Cry in the comments or what your ranking will look like. So let's just get it started. What is the worst Devil May Cry game? It's pretty obvious if you know anything about the series. The worst Devil May Cry is hands down Devil May Cry 2. Now, Devil May Cry 2 looks at the original Devil May Cry and was like, hey, let's just take everything people liked about this game out. Let's take out the interesting world, let's make Dante basically mute and just say nothing, do really nothing, have a plot that goes basically nowhere, and make the combat system incredibly simplified from what it was. Oh, and we're going to make the game super easy also. Devil May Cry 2 is often considered one of the worst video game sequels, just period, and that's a statement that I agree with because this game really just fails to understand what made the original Devil May Cry good, and anything it tries to do is just not good, really, period. It's just not good. Looking back over the entire series, DMC2 actually really sticks out like a sore thumb, even with the reboot in there. The story is very simple. It's just about Lucia, a new character, and Dante really fighting demons across an island, a town, a city. It's not exciting. The game has you play as Lucia and Dante. It was like a dual disc Resident Evil style thing, and playing as either of them really isn't very exciting. Lucia is just not an exciting character really at all, and Dante, I don't know what happened to Dante. He went from the charismatic, interesting, quirky, funny dude to he just really exists. He doesn't really say anything. He seems kind of moody. I don't know. It wasn't good. Don't like it. Now, when it comes to the actual gameplay, it really is a step backwards from the original game. The combat is much less refined than what it was in the original game. It feels a lot looser. The combat doesn't feel as in-depth. The skill ceiling is way lower. It doesn't feel as nice. It's not as satisfying. And the difficulty, I don't know what happened here. The original game was praised for its difficulty, as it made you actually have to get hella raw at Devil May Cry if you want to beat it, because it would make you master its systems in order to just beat the game. It wasn't messing around. Enemies hit like a truck, and you had to do some really stylish combos. Forget all that. You don't gotta do any of that. You can just stand back and shoot at the enemy with the guns, and it does plenty of damage, and it's fine. Not only that, but one of the biggest areas of challenge in the original game, the bosses. Basically neutered in this game. They're all super boring, they're super easy, and just have very little strategy. I mean, this is the game with the demon tank. Like, demon tank? Really? And playing as Lucia was just not good. It's basically just recycled content from Dante. You basically just play the game twice. It's not even worth it. I do not recommend Devil May Cry 2 to anybody, and I think that it has a reputation that it deserves as one of the worst sequels to anything ever. The next game we have is DMC Devil May Cry, the 2013 reboot developed by Ninja Theory and published by Capcom. Now, over the years, this game has gotten a lot of hate, especially when it first came out, and while part of it is a little deserved in my opinion, I think this game is absolutely overhated, and I do think it is borderline underrated in many aspects, and I still think it's actually a good game. I just think the other Devil May Cries are a bit better than this one, but don't discount this reboot because Dante looks weird and is edgy, because I actually do think that there is a solid enough hack and slash here. The story is very weird and is very different from the main series. It's about Dante still, who looks completely different, is a lot edgier and younger, and he hunts demons and lives in this world that has demons and humans in it, and they drink evil soda. It's really odd. And it sees the young Dante teaming up with his brother Virgil to fight the Demon King Mundus. Now, the story was heavily criticized when it came out, and the world in general, and just how everyone acts pretty childishly in this game. And you know, I actually gotta agree with this. I think the story's pretty damn stupid. It looks interesting, it seems like it could be interesting, but I just think it totally misses the mark. The writing is really silly. It's honestly pretty funny, and the game is just needlessly edgy.
You don't look a day over 12,000.
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
It's probably one of the edgiest games ever made, and it really just wasn't needed for Devil May Cry. I mean, of course, part of me really likes how edgy it is, but I can take a step back and see that, yeah, we really didn't need this. And the writing with Kat and Dante and Virgil really just... no. All that aside, though, I think the game is actually pretty fun still. You go across Limbo, which are these really interesting looking environments, and sees Dante getting into a bunch of combat encounters where he fights a bunch of demons. The combat is actually really smooth. It feels really nice. Linking combos together is really nice. You can get some crazy combos in. It's a very satisfying combo system, and really the combat in general is quite dynamic. New to this game is the Angel mode and Devil mode, which is activated by holding down one of the triggers. When you use Angel mode, Dante uses a speedy scythe, and when he uses Devil mode, it's like a really slow, powerful axe. Combining all of these together is really fun, and these also are used for traversal, as you can do some pretty nifty platforming here and there. Then, of course, you bring in the ranking system that's really popular in Devil May Cry, some little exploration elements here and there, and I think you actually have a pretty good hack and slash. It's not perfect, though. I will say it is really stupid how some enemies can only be attacked by certain attacks if you're in Angel or Devil mode. That's kind of dumb. And the combat, of course, is not as in-depth as, say, Devil May Cry 4 or its sequel 5, but I still think it is a good hack and slash. It's not going to have the crazy skill ceiling that the other games have, but it's nothing to scoff at either. Really, I think this game gets the job done where it matters most. While it is lacking in some aspects, I think it is still a very fun, enjoyable time that, while it's not for everybody, and it's not better than the main Devil May Cry games, it is still a good game. And I have no problem saying if you like the genre, just give it a shot. It's pretty cheap nowadays. And in the number 4 spot, we have the original Devil May Cry, which came out back in 2001 by Capcom. Now, Devil May Cry was obviously hugely influential, and it was this game alone that would help blow the genre up, and action games would really never be the same again after this. However, coming back all these years later in 2021, it is quite hard to come back to the original Devil May Cry, but you cannot deny its influence or its quality still. The game is about Dante, who runs a business about killing demons, and he meets up with a woman named Trish, who takes him on a journey to defeat the demon lord Mundus, who really killed Dante's brother and mother. So yeah, he's interested in killing this dude. The story is pretty okay. It hasn't exactly aged all that well, and some of the writing is pretty damn stupid nowadays, but Dante is a very likable protagonist. He's really cocky and generally arrogant. We like to see it. Trish is good too, and the main antagonist is an asshole too, but not in the creepy way like in DMC. The game takes place on this island, which is a really mysterious, interesting island that does give off some major Resident Evil vibes, and exploring this island was fine enough, but I will say, coming back to it all these years later, exploring the island can be kind of annoying, especially with the game's mission structure. But it wasn't this game's exploration or level design that made it become considered one of the greatest, most influential games of all time. No, it was the combat. The combat in Devil May Cry was really just something else when it came out. Now, obviously, coming back all these years later, the original Devil May Cry is going to feel a bit primitive by today's standards, and it is going to feel a bit basic. But despite that, it really still feels really nice, like stringing together combos, doing some big heavy hits, slaying some fools. It's really fun still, and it does have its moments. What really blew up this combat system, what really dragged people to it, was the high skill ceiling and the style system. Stylish combat is defined as performing an unbroken series of varied attacks while avoiding damage, with player performance tracked by the on-screen gauge, the letters up at the top right. As you string together cool, varied, interesting combos without getting hit, the game will naturally reward you, and the better you are, the better the reward. And it leads to people doing these crazy strings of combos where they never get hit, they never even touch the floor sometimes. You can do some crazy stuff in Devil May Cry, and it just really made the scene of action games explode, and people were like, there's so much depth here, there's so much I can do. And it really laid the foundation for what the series would eventually become. Of course, it is quite basic here when compared to Devil May Cry 3, 4, and 5, but it still is really good. The combat is good, the style system is great, and it is still a fun time. Aside from that, what keeps the game a little lower on this list for me also is exploring around the castle and doing the puzzles and finding keys and the occasional platforming. It's not very good in this game. I was never a fan of this, really. I really just don't think Devil May Cry is the series for this. I think Resident Evil is, or maybe Onimusha, but not Devil May Cry. I just never really liked this. Oh, and don't even get me started on that underwater shit. Still though, certified classic. Should probably be tried by just about everybody just to see the genre's influence. Great time. Our next game is Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening, particularly the Special Edition. Now, Devil May Cry 3 really saw the failures of Devil May Cry 2 and just completely did a 180 and was like, nope, we're going to go back to make what Devil May Cry 1 awesome and blow that up. The game is a prequel to Devil May Cry 1 and sees a much younger Dante going up against his brother, and they fight in this giant tower, and it's pretty epic. Dante's even better than he was in the first game. The writing isn't as stupid. It is pretty cheesy, though. And the game introduced Jester and Lady to the series. The first game's stylish combat returns in full force and is even more in-depth than the first game's, with a bunch of new weapons, combos, and mechanics, such as the Devil Trigger, where you become a demon and can just totally tear ass. Dante can also switch between 4 different weapons on the fly, leading to a lot more variety in your combos. The other big addition to Devil May Cry 3's combat system is the 4 combat styles. Each style has a focus and techniques that are different across all 4. There's the Trickster, which gives Dante a dodge and agility, the Sword Master, which gives you a bunch of cool sword techniques, Gunslinger, in which he gets firearm techniques, and Royal Guard, which basically is a parry, which is also pretty cool. There's even 2 secret styles you get later in the game, and in the special edition you actually get to play as Virgil, and Virgil has his own style of play also. Playing as Virgil is pretty fun, even if it is just a retread as Dante. The combat is one of the most in-depth combat systems you'll find in any video game. It doesn't matter that this game is 15, 16, whatever years old, it's still really in-depth. And the level design is a huge improvement over the first 2 games. The tower is really interesting, the puzzles aren't that annoying, finding stuff isn't that annoying, the platforming is fine enough, and I didn't get super lost in the tower. Special Edition has the survival mode known as Bloody Palace, which is in all the other games, and it rearranges the difficulty because Devil May Cry 3 is not just hard, it's really freaking hard. Devil May Cry 3 is probably one of the hardest video games ever made, and maybe the hardest game on the PS2, which is really saying a lot. This game has no problem kicking your ass, throwing the kitchen sink, and then throwing your ass out the window onto the street where you get hit by a car. Like, it is super hard. This game is not messing around. Enemies that will destroy you in 2 or 3 hits, very limited healing, basically no checkpoints in any of the missions. Like, no, this is a difficult ass game, but because of that, it's also a very rewarding game. Getting through any of the game's missions is rewarding. It's very satisfying to just beat anything in this game because it's so hard. It throws you no bones and it doesn't get any easier, but you will get hella raw by the end of it if you stick with it. It is a very good time. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is a damn good action game. It is real good. And I think the second best Devil May Cry game is Devil May Cry 4, particularly the special edition that came out in 2015. Now, DMC4 does not reinvent the wheel, it really just builds on top of Devil May Cry 3's excellent combat system and introduces Nero to the mix. The game is very much about Nero, as he's in this religious sect of knights that worship the Dark Knight Sparta as a god, and he has to go after Dante for reasons. The story, while it is weird that it is about Nero mostly, it is actually still quite good, and Dante does play a really good supporting role here. And of course there are people that are mad that Dante's not the main focus of the game, but it's not like you don't get to play as him a bunch either. The game sees you play around 10 or so levels as Nero, and then like 7 or 8 missions as Dante. The stylish combat system that Devil May Cry is known for is here on full effect, where you're doing a bunch of unbroken combos, avoiding damage, and just stringing together a bunch of cool looking shit. Most of the game you do play as Nero, and Nero is quite different from Dante. He has a different gun and a different kind of sword. It's all about the exceed gauge with his sword, which has you pressing the right trigger right when you do a certain attack. By revving up the sword and using the exceed right at the right time, you can do some really powerful sword attacks and really string together some awesome looking combos. He also has the Devil Bringer, which is like this giant hand that is used for context sensitive throwing and slamming attacks. And this leads to some really dynamic boss fights where you can try to figure out where you want to grab them with the giant hand and do some really awesome looking attacks where you just beat the shit out of these people. Now, playing as Nero is great, but then when you get to play as Dante, then it's really great. See, they took everything from Devil May Cry 3. They took all his weapons, his styles, all of that, and made it a little bit better. Because in the original Devil May Cry 3, you could only have one style at once. In Devil May Cry 4, you can switch between all the styles with the D-pad in the middle of combos as well. So Gunslinger, and then you want to mix in some cool sword attacks, but you also want to dodge all over the place, or you want to just block and parry while you're doing cool gun attacks. Yep, you can do it all. The amount of depth in this game is insane. It is one of the most in-depth action games ever made, and it is a blast. I have spent a ton of time in this game just trying to look hella raw and be hella good with Nero and especially Dante, and it is extremely satisfying. The game is challenging. It's not stupidly hard like Devil May Cry 3 though. The levels are, in my opinion, better designed than Devil May Cry 3's, and yeah, you do have to go through them twice. You go through it backwards as Dante, which is pretty lame. I still had a blast because playing as Dante is just too much fun. This game probably has my favorite bosses in the whole series. I just really enjoy the bosses in Devil May Cry 4. And then the special edition that came out many years later adds Trish, Lady, and Virgil to the mix. So there is a ton of replayability. And yeah, it's all on the same level still, but I mean, the amount of depth with all these characters, it's great stuff. And then they also add in the super crazy mode that was in the PC version of 4 where they multiply all the enemies by like 20 and you just can't even see the screen. There's so many enemies. Really fun stuff. And all of this leads to Devil May Cry 4 being a great game that I have no problem recommending to anyone who's a fan of action games. But it's not the best Devil May Cry in my opinion. I think the best of the Devil May Cry games is the latest in the series, Devil May Cry 5, released a couple years ago. Devil May Cry 5 may very well be like the best hack and slash game like ever made. That is no exaggeration. It really just takes everything that was great about the previous Devil May Cry games, amps it up to create just an incredible experience. The story sees Nero and Dante coming together to fight a new demon threat, and newcomer V shows up to help as well. And that's all I'm really going to say about the story. There are some returning characters from the other Devil May Cry games, and it's a really good story. The writing is just as good as it's ever been. It's still very corny, very cheesy. Dante's great, Nero's great. V is no slouch either. He's actually a really good character as well. I thought the story was actually quite good, and I will say that the presentation is pretty incredible also, running on the Resident Evil 7 engine. It looks really great. The other games look good too, and the music was great in those games, but it is superb here. It is the best of them all, easily. Then we get to the combat and the levels. You do start the game as Nero, and he has the red sword and his gun from Devil May Cry 4. However, he doesn't bring the demon hand. Instead, he can equip all these robotic arms called Devil Breakers instead. These have different functions, and you can actually mix up your combos a bunch by equipping a bunch of different arms to Nero, and it definitely adds some variety. Other than that, though, he's the same from DMC4. He's really great to play as. Then we have Dante, who is also the same as Devil May Cry 4, where he can switch between all 4 of his styles, have a bunch of parries, techniques, combos, weapons, you name it. He's just got a ton of stuff to him. He has as much depth, if not more, than he had in Devil May Cry 4, and the biggest difference is now he has original levels to go through. Yeah, all the characters have original levels to go through. The whole going through the same level backwards, that's gone from 4. Dante really didn't even change all that much from 4. They just kind of gave him some new weapons, enemies, and levels to go through, and was like, he's already got enough depth to him, and I agree with that. He has a crazy amount of depth. It's a stupid amount of depth, really. Then the third playable character, the new one, V, is very different from them. He wields a book and a cane, and his combat is all about summoning demons from the first game to come and attack all the enemies. He's very different from Dante and Nero, and the combos he does is very different, and you're going to be pushing like every button on the freaking controller almost at once sometimes to just summon all the enemies to just wreck your shit. He is super different from any other character ever in Devil May Cry, and he's actually really fun to use. I hope that in future games V can come back in some way, because using all these demons to fight for you, it's really different, and it's actually really cool. Then if you have the DLC or the special edition, Virgil does return, and he has the same combat as DMC4. The combat is arguably the most varied combat you'll find in any hack and slash game. It never gets old, and right when you start playing as one character, or maybe even almost a little too much, nope, they switch it up. They switch it up over and over so that it stays fresh with interesting new levels, enemies, abilities, characters, everything. It is just so varied, and I never found myself getting even close to just like, how long is this level going on? Nope, I wanted everything to keep going and going and going. I have nothing but an extensive amount of praise for Devil May Cry 5 because it really does deserve it. It's really a fantastic game. It is one of the best, if not like the best action game maybe ever made. It's so good. It's easily the best action game on like PS4 and Xbox One. Like nothing can touch it in my opinion. It just has everything going for it. It feels like the whole series was like building up to this one game, honestly. Like Devil May Cry 3 really laid the foundation with the styles. 4 was there, but you had to replay these levels that some people didn't like. But no, 5, all original levels, amazing combat, amazing presentation, great story. It's just all there. It's everything you'd want. And it's a great definitive Devil May Cry game. It is like the definitive Devil May Cry game. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. That's really it for me. Love all the Devil May Cry games minus 2. And they're all good games. They're all pretty cheap now also if you're still interested in them or if you haven't played them. Hopefully I can convince even one person to try one of these games. But either way, I hope everyone has a great Christmas, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, New Year's, July 4th, whatever the hell you're celebrating when you watch this video. Anyway, see you later.